So how long did you say till we are online?
We're live.
Live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the GPVWC Sim Racing Super Cup. It's the 5th round of the 2017 championship. Jake Sanson here, just a day earlier than usual. Normally it's only Super League stuff for me, but we've decided to go into the Super Cup again this time as well. It's going to be a really exciting championship round, this one, particularly considering how close the first few rounds of the championship have been as well. So we've got our man Seymour, who has gone fastest in qualifying, which is definitely an interesting sign of the times to come here at the Red Bull Ring. I think it's going to be an interesting one for him to put himself into strong contention to win the races tonight. He's already got himself into a strong position. Warm-up is underway, as you should be able to see in front of you. Alex Siebel going out to give himself the best chance of victory, with Jason Muscat, Stefan Rolt and Jeffrey Fournier hoping to do battle over the course of proceedings. It's been an interesting qualifying session. We've already got some very interesting things to have a look at as a result of what's happened so far in the Super Cup. For those who are tuning in for the first time, it is Jason Muscat who leads the championship here in Austria with 122 points, just 5 ahead of the German racer Dennis Jordan. Dino Paolini, Alex Siebel and Tobias Polotzek are the German squadron giving chase, with Stefan Raoult in 6th position. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how these guys continue on in this 5th round of the championship. Tobias Polotzek is the man who is riding the crest of the wave at the moment after his victory at the Spanish Grand Prix at Valencia 2 weeks ago in the second of the 2 races. My apologies. He was there in front of the Zederick racing driver, Jason Muscat, who of course is leading the championship, as we mentioned. Race 1 in the first encounter was actually wrapped up by Antonio Hralanovic, who was there in the Drake car. The Croatian did a fantastic job in the end, ahead of Vodka Hoekstra and Dennis Jordan. So if that is going to be the case again, we should have quite an interesting one. But in the sprint race last time, it was the German Tobias Polotzek who got himself the victory in front of Jason Muscat and Dennis Jordan. So 2 podiums for Jordan keep him very much in the hunt for proceedings here. And I would not bet against him to be on the podium again here. As again, with this championship, consistency is a real key in playing factor in this particular championship, especially when you consider how competitive it can be in this series. So everybody is obviously now in warm-up for the last couple of minutes of warm-up, just trying to get themselves together. Most of the drivers will be practicing their starts at this point, but some of them will be trying to bang in an extra couple of laps to get things together for the race itself. With 1.5 minutes to go though, we are about to go into the action for the first of 2 races here in the GPVWC Super Cup. So what can we tell you going into the races? Well, it's already been a very interesting one in terms of how the Super Cup season has gone. For those who have not been keeping up to date with it so far, we've had some very exciting races in the early parts of the season. In Australia, we had a victory from Tobias Polotzek right from the off, ahead of Jeffrey Fournier and Dennis Jordan on the podium, ahead of Borja Milan, Antonio Hralanovic and Dino Paolini. In the second race in Australia, it was Jason Muscat in front of Stefan Raoult and Antonio Hralanovic, in front of Dino Paolini, Dennis Jordan and Jeffrey Fournier. That was the rule book in Australia. That was how the form book played out. In the first race in Russia, the second round of the championship, Alex Siebel took the victory in the Multiforce car in front of the 2 Mesurit cars of Dino Paolini and Vodka Hoekstra, with Jason Muscat, Stefan Raoult and Dennis Jordan rounding out the top 6. In the second encounter, it went to Alex Siebel again, Dennis Jordan, Dino Paolini, Antonio Vrlanovic, Wright Kilk, and Jason Muscat following in pursuit. That was Russia. Then we moved on, of course, to the third round of the championship in China, and we saw a race 1 victory in fantastic style from Alex Siebel, with Dino Paolini in front of Stefan Raoult, Wopke Hoekstra, Jason Muscat, and Geoffrey Fournier. In the top 6 in the second race, however, it was Jason Muscat who got the victory in front of Dennis Jordan, Stefan Raoult, Geoffrey Fournier, Dino Paolini, and for the first time in the top 6 that season, that part of the season anyway, Duvet Tapper. Last time out, of course, we had the Chinese Grand Prix, and that was a race 1 victory after a very good battle indeed from Antonio Vrlanovic, who was only 2.8 seconds clear of Wopke Hoekstra, Dennis Jordan, Borja Milan, Geoffrey Fournier, and then Jason Muscat rounding out the top 6. And then that man got himself onto the podium again, but behind Tobias Polotczek. So Jason Muscat second from Dennis Jordan, Borja Milan, Geoffrey Fournier, and Alex Siebel. Now we come to Austria, and things are going to be very interesting for this one. It will be a tough race, and we know it's going to be incredibly close. And as a result of the battles we've had so far, we've obviously got a lot of things to talk about. So one of the things we need to mention is, well, Dave Van Gils has obviously decided to mention it straight away, which is, are we going to see a crash from Wopke? Well, it's going to be a difficult one. I'm not entirely sure if he's thinking that. Obviously, that's on his mind because he's had a couple of incidents already in the early part of the 2017 season, and he'll be hoping that that is not the case here this weekend, and certainly not the case in race 1. He's definitely going to be wanting to stay out of the wars in this first race. I mean, it's a difficult situation to be in. Dave Van Gils asks, bear with me a second on this one, because Dave Van Gils asks, where is he on the starting grid? We are going to display the starting grid very, very shortly. We'll run through the grid as they go through the warm-up lap. So it's going to be interesting to see how things get underway in this very close encounter for the season ahead. So obviously this is the 5th round of the championship. To talk you through the championship standings after the first 4 races gives you a bit of an idea as to what's at stake. We've already mentioned the fact that the championship leader is currently Jason Muscat, the man from Malta. He is on 122 points at the top of the championship table, and he is only just about 5 points ahead of Dennis Jordan. So the battle between those two is already pretty close quarters. Then in bear with me a second, sorry, my screen's gone down for a moment. In third position in the standings, it is Dino Paolini, and then Alex Siebel is just 2 points behind him in 4th position. He actually missed the Australian Grand Prix, so that is not bad going to see him there in position. Tobias Polotczek is 5th in the standings, having taken 2 wins, 1 in Australia and 1 in Spain. Stefan Raoult is 6th in the standings on 81 points. Antonio Vrlanovic is only 4 behind on 77. Geoffrey Fournier has 75 in 8th place. Wopke Hoekstra has 2 DNFs to his name in 67 points, though, with 2 podiums, means he's 9th in the standings. And Borja Milan, who's had a trio of 4th place finishes, is there on 55 points. There's only been 4 drivers who have yet to score points in this championship, and they are 4 drivers who have not done all 4 rounds of the championship so far. So that gives you, again, a little bit of an indication as to how tight the championship battles are in this particular season. So it's going to be interesting to see how everybody gets on as we go underway. Matthew Allington on YouTube writes, place your bets. How many people will come to grief at turn 2 of the first lap? Interesting one. I have a feeling it could be at least 2, possibly 3. So we'll do our best to see how many get through. David jokes half the field. Well, it has been known before. It would be very much a shock if that were to happen. So we're hoping that's not going to be the case. But we are now around on our green flag lap, as you can see. So let's talk you through the grid as the drivers go around. And it's going to be an interesting one right from the off. We've got an incredible squadron of drivers. Jason Muscat lining up on pole position for this one at the front of the field. Geoffrey Fournier in 2nd position along with him. Siebel is there in 3rd position. Alex Siebel on the 2nd row of the grid. P4 is Stefan Raoult, so he'll be an interesting one from the front. Wopke Hoekstra is there in P5. 6th position, Antonio Vrlanovic is there on the third row of the grid. Then next, it's Tobias Polocek. He should be an interesting one to keep an eye on from 7th on the grid. Borja Milan in 8th position on the grid. Edgar Ruiz is 9th position. 10th place for Eduard Batalla. So he makes himself known on the 5th row of the starting grid. Then it is Carlos Fernandez who lines up in 11th position along with Mike Quint in 12th position on the 6th row. Then it is Gerard Batalla in 13th position on the starting grid ahead of the man in 14th place, Sandeep Choda. 15th is Rob Mason. He should be an interesting one to move his way through the field if he gets a strong run of it. Matt Strand is 16th on the starting grid. TJ Halsema lines up in 17th place ahead of Mark Fuller from 18th on the starting grid. 19th place is Gerrit de Vries, and 20th position on the starting grid will be Johnson. That is James Johnson, of course. Then in 21st position, it will be Andrei Pestov. 22nd on the grid will be Duve Tapper. So he's got a tough one to watch from the back of the grid. Dino Paolini starts up from 23rd place. 24th will be Dennis Jordan. A very difficult position for him as he starts to work his way forward. Dominic Foster is 25th. And then it is the last man in. So we're waiting for the starting procedure. Race will get underway shortly. My screen is only just updating, so apologies if the race has got underway while I am speaking. We'll hopefully should get there just as the race gets underway. But the race is under starters' orders now as the field is about to get underway here in Austria. It's going to be a tough one. Away we go. Battles already in the opening stages. Looks good for Muscat as he continues to lead in the early stages. Fournier has taken an early move into the lead. My apologies. So as Fournier moves into the head of the field right at the start from Muscat, Siebel, Rualt, Hoekstra, Ruiz, Milan, Polocek, Fernandez and Vrlanovic. It's an interesting start on the way to the second corner for the first time. We've already had a spin, a half spin as they go through for the first time. Apologies, my screen is still updating, so I will try and pick it up as soon as we get with the action. So apologies to Bobber. The reason the audio is out of sync is because I haven't quite got with it. Now my screen is updated. Apologies. So we join it with Jeffrey Fournier at the front of the field from Jason Muscat, Alex Siebel, Roth, Hoekstra, Ruiz, Milan and Fernandez. Already problems towards the back, but not too many dramas. Everybody's still pointing the same way, and it looks to me as though everybody is continuing on without too much damage. I didn't see a massive problems on the first lap. A couple of drivers falling out of position, but nothing major to worry about. So Jeffrey Fournier has got himself out in front and he's already trying to break away from Jason Muscat. So it will be interesting to see if the Epic Racing driver can continue on in front of the Zederik car. Muscat being chased down by Alex Siebel at the front. Stefan Rault in fourth from Bobko Hoekstra. Edgar Ruiz, Borja Milan close by his teammate, Tobias Polocek. Jared Battalla's got Antonio Vrlanovic on the inside. This is going to be an interesting battle. And behind them, we've got Battalla and Quint going to battle. Vrlanovic is through. Jared Battalla is on the left side. Quint is going to get the place here if he holds into the inside braking zone. Mike Quint gets through. Good move there as these four cars battle for position. Antonio Vrlanovic shuts the door on Gerard Battalla. Battalla now coming straight back to the inside though. A great little squabble this for ninth position as Vrlanovic, Battalla, Quint and Edward Battalla are having an absolutely magnificent scrap. And Sandeep Choda is not far away now either in 13th as a result of being held up. Here's Mike Quint trying to get the move on the inside. He's got the Batallas either side of him in front and back. And as he works his way through, he's going to have to be very careful how he positions the car. But meanwhile, oh, we've got an off further back. That is Carlos Fernandez. Fernandez has gone off at the final turn. So Fernandez has rejoined in there behind Dominic Foster and in front of Gerrit de Vries. Dennis Jordan is in pit road. Mark Fuller is continuing, but it looks to me as though Dennis Jordan might have some damage, and that is a disaster for Dennis Jordan. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That is an absolute mare for the man in the first position, or certainly fighting for first position in the championship. Here comes Fernandez at the inside of Foster into turn two. Fernandez gets through no problem. So Antonio Vrlanovic trying to work his way through some great battles all the way through the field. I'm just trying to pick up some of the closer fights in and around. Mike Quint still having this battle with Gerard and Edward Battalla. Mike Quint has moved up into 10th position now. Antonio Vrlanovic, now that he's got through, is dropping them. Meanwhile, on the rise is Duve Tapper. He's up to 13th position already as he charges his way forward. So Duve Tapper having a great run. Amazing to see what DX11 has done to GPVWC. Johan Lindberg says it looks great. What's it like FPS-wise? I'm afraid you're asking the wrong person, Johan. I'm not that technical, but I absolutely agree. DX11 has made things look 10 times better overnight. So back to the front. Fournier leading. Muscat, Siebel, Rolt, Hoekstra, Ruiz, Milan and Polotczek. So Tobias Polotczek running in 8th position. This, of course, is the feature race, so we're expecting scheduled pit stops. Now, is this going to be a latter proceeding? Are they going to pit later into the run or earlier? This could be an interesting decision in terms of tyre. Dennis Jordan has, as we know, pitted. He has rejoined the field, I can tell you, and he is on a different compound to the rest of the field. So this will be an interesting one to see how he runs. So Fournier leads it now. Muscat in 2nd. Siebel is 3rd from Raoult, Hoekstra, Ruiz, Milan, Polotczek and Rolanovic. Mike Quint is in 10th position, having now got past both Edouard and Gerard Patala, and Duvet Tapper is looking to do likewise. He sizes up Gerard Patala on the run down to the right-hander. This is going to be brave. He's not going to take the move. He sweeps through the first part of the first apex, then into the final turn. He throws the car through. Beautiful conviction there from Duvet Tapper. Now he's going to get a run on Gerard Patala as they go down towards the first corner. This will be an interesting opportunity into the first corner. Can he hold it? Well, Batala's keeping him honest, and they tap. They bang wheels on the exit. So Duvet Tapper has got to have another crack at this, and he's got to be careful because Sandeep Choda is starting to close up as well now. So Sandeep Choda could get the move if Patala doesn't defend. Duvet Tapper tries to go the long way round. No, you don't. Gerard Patala holds him at bay, and now Sandeep Choda is going to get an opportunity here. So here comes Choda. With Sandeep Choda now on the back of Duvet Tapper. He does not have things too comfortable, but he's continuing to fight on. Great to see this battle in the early stages as Geoffrey Fournier runs ahead of Jason Muscat by 1.5 seconds. Siebel is only 0.8 of a second further back. Stefan Raoult has Wopke Hoekstra and Edgar Ruiz for company. Hoekstra looks as though he's coming under some pressure, actually. Just watching a replay from earlier on. Looks to me as though I'm not entirely sure how that's worked out. My apologies. So Geoffrey Fournier, Muscat, Siebel, Raoult, Hoekstra, Ruiz, Milan and Polotczek. Now, Wopke Hoekstra is starting to make more of an inroad into Stefan Raoult, and well he might, because Edgar Ruiz, who is just behind him in the TG Racing car, the first of those cars, his teammate Bormar Milan, is only just behind him actually. Wopke Hoekstra needs to drop Ruiz here to get onto the back of Stefan Raoult. So Stefan Raoult is obviously starting to try and make inroads into Alex Siebel as well. Tobias Polotczek, I think, has made a move. Now Antonio Horanovic is having to fend off from Mike Quint at the moment. Quint has got to run into turn 3. Can he drop it to the inside line? Quint is going to be brave. Horanovic is going to try and keep the car. No, Quint sized him up beautifully there. So Mike Quint is up into 9th position. Beautifully done, as Antonio Horanovic doesn't really have much of a response on that occasion. So now we've got Rolanovic in 10th position. The Batalas are still 11th and 12th with Duvet Tapper trying to keep up with them. But Gerard Patala is not really helping the cause here for Duvet Tapper. And in fact, he's dropped 2 seconds back. Now it looks to me as though we've got a retirement. That is TJ Halsema. What happened to him? Oh, now he went off. TJ Halsema has gone off into a spin at, I think that was turn 3. So unfortunately, I'm afraid to say that TJ Halsema is now out of this race. He's spun off and his race is run. That is a real shame. So back to the action up front. Our leader is still Geoffrey Fournier, having a good run of things in the lead of this race. Muscat has got a real queue piling up behind him now. He doesn't seem to have the outright pace to run with Geoffrey Fournier, and he's becoming the cork in the bottle. Alex Siebel behind him. Stefan Raoult is next. Wopke Hoekstra, Edgar Ruiz, and even now Borja Milan is starting to close up. From 2nd down to 6th, it is a real train, and we've got a spin from earlier on as well. Didn't see who that was. I think that was James Johnson who lost the car there. So Johnson seemed to have got himself into a bit of a spin. Good solid work from David Fidock working the cameras tonight. Apologies for just myself being here. Ryan Ferris has had to pull out at the last minute. So you'll just have to put up with my irritating noise for the next hour and a half or so. Duve Tapper now finds himself in 14th. How did Sandy Choda get past them both? That's an interesting move, but I didn't actually see what happened there. Let's see, Sandy Choda getting the chance to move up into 12th position. Well, somewhere along the line, he's made it past both Batala and Tapper. Unfortunately, I didn't see that in time, so Choda has made the move into 12th position. If I can pick it up on a replay, then I will try and enlighten you as to what happened. So Dennis Jordan, 24th position, still trying to make inroads into the drivers ahead. Jeffrey Fournier is disappearing because Jason Muscat has got Alex Siebel breathing all over him at the moment as Muscat tries to hang on to this second position. This is not exactly the kind of pace we were expecting to see from Muscat. He's there or thereabouts, but he's actually really finding it difficult to keep up with Jeffrey Fournier, who is getting away scot-clear up in front. His Epic Racing Team car is running very well indeed out front, but Jason Muscat holding on to this second position in the Multiforce car. Multiforce GP, sorry, the Multiforce car is Alex Siebel, isn't it? My apologies there. Jason Muscat doing a good job in front of Alex Siebel. Siebel is getting close. Stefan Rualt is there in 4th position. Wopke Hoekstra in 5th place. They're seemingly starting to drop Edgar Ruiz. He doesn't seem to be able to hang with these guys quite the way that he was before. Borja Milan is closing in. Tobias Polotsek is still there in 8th position. And now 4 seconds back, would you believe, is Edward Batalla. So Batalla has managed to get the move on Antonio Vrlanovic, but Vrlanovic is trying to come back at him to the far side. Batalla's having to defend on the inside of the hairpin. Vrlanovic has got a great opportunity on the undercut. Vrlanovic gets good acceleration off the toe. They're going to be side by side down this back straight. Vrlanovic threw into 9th position, but now he's got to move to cover. Batalla throwing it back up the inside of turn 3. Batalla does so. Vrlanovic shuts the door. Oh, very close as Batalla has just enough room to maneuver. Vrlanovic is not letting him lie, but has to fend back in position. What a great squabble this is turning out to be between these two. Absolutely cracking stuff from Batalla and Vrlanovic. So Batalla hangs on to that 9th position for the moment. Great run as those two continue to defend. So Wopke Hoekstra in 5th position and starting to fall away a little bit from Stefan Raoult. Raoult's going to try and make a move. Can't get past. Muscat is now 3rd because Siebel has got past him. I want to see what happened there. So let's find out. Muscat obviously having to work very hard to keep Siebel at bay, but I think Siebel got him quite a while ago, to be fair. So Muscat now finds himself in 3rd position. Wopke Hoekstra, meanwhile, has got himself into 4th position. Edgar Ruiz is there in 5th. So what happened to Stefan Rualt? Rualt was there behind Muscat. I'm going to look again on the replay. Out of the hairpin. Oh, he got punted by Hoekstra. And as a result of that, Ruiz and Hoekstra have both gone through. Borja Milan looks like he's done the same thing as well. Rualt had to brake to avoid Muscat in front of him, and that has dropped him down. What a disaster for Stefan Rualt, who now finds himself in 7th position. So Alex Siebel is 2nd from Muscat, Hoekstra in 4th, Ruiz, Milan, Stefan Rualt. I think Stefan is going to be in front of the stewards about that one later, because he's going to feel very much aggrieved. I should be in 4th position right now, not 7th. So he's going to have a bit of a claim there, I think. Now, Dennis Jordan's pace is pretty good at the back of the field. He's closing up on Mark Fuller. He's only about 3 seconds behind him now. So in terms of his one-lap pace, Dennis Jordan obviously deciding, I'm not giving up. I still need to bring it home. You never know what happens in this sport. And he's absolutely right to. But as a result of this little battle for 2nd position, Jeffrey Fournier has been allowed to get away. Now, that is very significant considering where we are at the moment. So let's have a look and see some of the other drivers commenting, or some of the other viewers, I should say, are commenting on the YouTube feed. Matthew Allington says the Formula Challenge car is by all accounts a very different beast to the Supercup car. Very true. I happen to know this for a fact. I've driven both. I was an absolute ice rink at Valencia with the Formula Challenge car. Very twitchy it is. And I have to say the Supercup car is more pleasant to drive. It's definitely difficult to find a sweet spot, though, as Jason Muscat is clearly finding his outright pace is not enough to keep him in front of Alex Siebel, and Jeffrey Fournier is already 4.3 seconds down the road. Really difficult stuff at the moment. Siebel, Muscat, Hoekstra, Edgar Ruiz and Borja Milan are closing up again, so Ruiz might have a chance here at fourth position. Stefan Rualt is just trying to get himself back into rhythm in 7th place. Polotczek is 8th. Edward Batalla is now 9th, as we know. And in 10th position is still Antonio Hrelanovic. Duve Tapper is working his way through. He's up into 11th position now, by the way, Duve Tapper. So the battles continue. Interesting. Oh, we've got a spin. There is Tapper. Tapper has spun. Duve Tapper has spun at turn 2. What a disaster. So Duve Tapper now has Mike Quint right underneath him in the challenge for 14th place. So Mike Quint is going to throw this up the inside into turn 3. Tapper is going to try and resist. Mike, you need to step on this. Duve's going to catch you. No. In fact, Mike Quint holds it. Tapper now gets back underneath. He has a swarm round to get back on the inside of turn 4. Mike Quint shuts the door. Nicely done. So, real problems there for Duve Tapper. This is not a great start to his Austrian weekend. Now, on the main straight, Vodka Hoekstra has a chance to go for 3rd on Jason Muscat. He thinks better of it. He decides to hang back and wait for turn 2. Stronger opportunity. James Early writes on YouTube, surprised there has not been a big crash yet. To be fair, the driving standards this year have been a bit more improved than we've seen in recent seasons in the Super Cup. But yes, this is a circuit that does lend itself to those moments as Rualt makes the move on Edgar Ruiz. Borja Milan's got past Ruiz, so too has Stefan Rualt. So now that's Milan up to 5th, Rualt up to 6th, and Ruiz down to 7th in front of Polotczek, Batalla and Hrelanovic. Meanwhile, Gerard Batalla has made the move on the inside of Sandip Choda for 11th place at turn 2, with Dino Paolini now coming up for battling as well. Duve Tapper makes the move on Mike Quint again. That puts him back into 14th position. Mike Quint is having a go, puts 2 wheels on the grass in his attempts to get past Duve Tapper. They bang wheels. Mike Quint is throwing it back to the inside, and the back end steps out. Oh, Duve Tapper almost got caught out there. He decided to back out of it and allow Mike Quint to keep the place. Mike was very, very lucky there. That was almost a spin. He's locking up big style into turn 4. In fact, Mike Quint is having a real difficulty keeping the car in a straight line at the moment. Such is the nervous nature of this car. Back with the leaders as they go out of turn 1. Siebel, Muscat, Hoekstra, Milan and Rualt in the battle for 2nd position. Jeffrey Fournier is long gone. He's 5 seconds clear. Let's see. Up towards the inside apex. Stefan Rualt is having a go on the inside of Borja Milan. Good exit. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Into 5th position. And now he's leaving Borja Milan to scrap away with his TG Racing teammate Edgar Ruiz. Ruiz is now seeking an opportunity to get past Milan. Careful, boys. Don't hit each other. Nicely done. Borja lets Ruiz go. So Fournier is 5 seconds up the road from the leaders. Siebel and Muscat battling away for 2nd and 3rd place. Vodka Hoekstra is not far away from the battle. But you do get the sense that if Jason Muscat can't get back past Alex Siebel, Hoekstra is going to make a challenge to get onto the podium. So this is a really difficult situation for Jason Muscat to be in. He hasn't quite got the speed. Oh, Sandip Choda's had an off. Sandip Choda's had an off. He's been battling away big time with Batalla. He actually squeezed Batalla off at turn 3. Dino Paolini got through. And Sandip Choda decided, right, I need to get this place back. He dives up the inside of Dino Paolini, but he catches the curb on the inside line and spins the car. That's what's dropped him back. So problems for Sandip Choda. Fournier leads. Now, interestingly, this battle for 2nd position, Siebel, Muscat and Hoekstra, is starting to gain ground on Jeffrey Fournier. The gap has come down to under 5 seconds now. So it's almost like karting. These guys are starting to work together a little bit to get that gap down to the leader. Siebel has Muscat right underneath him, but interestingly, Muscat is not making the move. Neither is Vodka Hoekstra. They're working together to get this gap to Fournier down, using each other's draft. And Siebel is getting a bit of a helping hand here from Muscat and Hoekstra, and it's working. The gap comes down again by another 0.2 of a second. This is a really interesting position now because the gap is definitely coming down. Jeffrey Fournier trying to get a little bit more speed out of his car as he comes onto the home straight on his own. Siebel through the final turn now. Muscat, Hoekstra, Rualt, Ruiz, Borja Milan. And it is almost that close as they come through. Gap is 4.7 to the leader. Muscat half a second behind Siebel. Hoekstra 3/10 behind Muscat. Rualt 4/10 behind Hoekstra. Ruiz half a second behind Rualt. Borja Milan is 7/10 behind Edgar Ruiz, so it's a great scrap for second position. Hoekstra starting to look hungry to get a move done on Jason Muscat. Hasn't been able to get the move done yet. Difficult to know where to look in this race. There's so many different battles. Vice Polotczek has got Edward Batalla for company as they go down towards turn 3. Batalla goes left. This is an opportunity now. Batalla is in front of him and he beats into the braking zone. Tobias Polotczek almost surrendered the corner to him there. It's an interesting one. Paolini 11th, Batalla in 12th. Choda is 13th, Mike Quint in 14th ahead of Duvet Tapper, Matt Strand, Rob Mason, Dominic Foster, Carlos Fernandez battling away with James Johnson. They're side by side into turn 2. Johnson breaks deep. Carlos Fernandez trying to get him on the exit, but it's not going to happen. Johnson still 19th ahead of Fernandez. Gerrit de Vries, Dennis Jordan now up to 22nd as he gets past Andrei Pestrov and Mark Fuller. And one retirement so far, and that is TJ Halsema. Now, Fournier is trying to get back up to speed again to get away from this second place train. Siebel, Muscat, Hoekstra, Rualt, Ruiz and Milan. And that's Matt Strand battling away. Oh, we got a spin further back. That's Mike Quint. Mike Quint has spun it. Now, how did that happen? He's got damage. So Mike Quint trying to close up. In front of him was Sandip Choda, just watching the replay back. This is going to be a problem for Mike Quint. Oh, he's lost it on the exit. On the exit of the right-hand sweeper, Mike Quint loses it, drops the car onto the inside wall. That's a big one for Mike Quint. Big damage. Looks as though he's got it repaired, though. He's coming straight back out of the pits. But that's a big disappointment for Mike Quint. Big damage. All it takes is one little error. Now, the second place battle really is nose to tail. Muscat, Siebel, Hoekstra, Rualt, Ruiz, and Milan is only about a second and a half behind it. So if anything happens between these five, and it looks like it's about to kick off, Stefan Rualt is trying to make his beat to get back past Vopko Hoekstra. We've still got pit stops to happen yet, don't worry. Don't forget, Rualt has got to make this move on Vopko Hoekstra if he wants the track position. It's almost as if they're second-guessing each other at the moment. Really interesting scrap between these five. Now, Muscat has come into the lead of the battle, so he's got back past Alex Siebel. I didn't see where he made that move. Apologies. But Muscat's gone through. Now Vopko Hoekstra's trying to make the move on Siebel. Side by side. Siebel's going to get caught out. That was beautifully judged by Vopko Hoekstra. Left him enough room, but shut the door enough to know that he wasn't going to be very kind. Now Stefan Rualt's going to make a push to get past Alex Siebel. Up the inside, can't get it done because Siebel's too busy focusing on Vopko Hoekstra. Big wobble from Stefan Rualt off the corner. Ruiz is going to get on his inside line. But he holds the inside line for the next turn. Ruiz is going to go right round the outside. Beautiful move from Edgar Ruiz. Oh, what a sweeping pass. Stuck to his guns and said, if you're going to wobble, I'm just going to have it. Brilliantly done from Ruiz. And that puts him into 5th place. Rualt is now 6th with Borja Milan right on his tail. Batalla is 8th. Polotczek is 9th. Milanovic in 10th place. So now that Muscat's got through in a 2nd and Vopko Hoekstra is through in a 3rd, that's enough of a breather for Jason Muscat. He's got 8/10 of a second now in hand to Vopko Hoekstra. And as these guys have been battling, Geoffrey Fournier has lost a 2nd. So Fournier is only 4 seconds ahead now. This is pretty good stuff. Fournier struggling to maintain this gap to Jason Muscat. Muscat now with a clear track in front of him has a chance to close up. Hoekstra, little bit of a twitch through turn 3, but keeps it together. Siebel now 4th ahead of Ruiz, Rualt and Milan. Can Alex Siebel hold off Edgar Ruiz? Well, we know that he can pass around the outside. The trouble is, does Alex Siebel know? Because he wouldn't have seen that move a lap ago. He's not quite close enough on this occasion to have a look into turn 4. But Stefan Rualt still hanging on there to 6th position with Ruiz in front, Milan behind. He's got a TG Racing sandwich to deal with at the moment. Batalla is in 8th, Polotczek 9th from Vrlanovic, Paolini, Gerard Batalla, Duvet Tapper, Sandip Choda, Strand, Mason, Foster, Johnson, Fernandez, de Vries. Mike Quint has rejoined in 21st and is already on the back of Gerrit de Vries. Dennis Jordan is next in 22nd ahead of Pestov and Fuller. Fournier continues on his way. We're on lap 20 of 41. So we're getting towards the stage when drivers are starting to think about pit stops. Muscat. Dr. Hoekstra in third. Up the inside, Ruiz makes the move on Siebel. All this contact. A little bit of locking with the wheels, but that's enough. And Ruiz does not get through past Siebel. Stefan Rualt is not quite close enough. Ruiz has another go. Round the outside of Siebel. Tries to squeeze him out. There's not a lot of space. Ruiz is going to try and squeeze him. Siebel will not be intimidated. They're still side by side. They bang wheels. Ruiz holds the inside. Siebel goes with him to company round the outside. Locks up. And that's enough to hold on in front of Stefan Rualt. But Ruiz is through into fourth position. Gutsy drive this from Edgar Ruiz. These guys really pushing it before the pit stops. So Edgar Ruiz in fourth. Now Siebel and Stefan Rualt. Borja Milan in seventh, trying to get on the underside. This is a good run off the turn from Milan. He might get a chance on Stefan Rualt on the run to turn two. It's all about the exit speed from turn one. But Edgar Ruiz isn't safe yet. He goes deep on the exit, and that's Siebel with a much cleaner run through. Jeffrey Fournier is losing time hand over fist up front, by the way. The gap's come down to 2.9 as Muscat and Hoekstra are starting to reel him in. Ruiz, Siebel, Rualt, Milan, Batalla, Relanovic, and now Tobias Polocek, having dropped to 10th position behind Antonio Relanovic. That's your top 10 at the moment. Paulini, Batalla, Tapper, Choda, and Strand from Mason, Foster, Johnson, Fernandez, and now Mike Quint, who has got past Garrett de Vries. Dennis Jordan is closing in on him. Peshtov and Fuller continue the field. Now, Jeffrey Fournier is only about 3 seconds clear now. He'll know that Muscat and Hoekstra are closing him in. Ruiz, Siebel, Rualt, and Milan are still close together, although Siebel has got Stefan Rualt right underneath him now. He's his biggest threat at this point. There's only a tenth of a second in it. Rualt's going to try, is he? He's going to lunge on the inside. Contact! Whoa, Stefan Rualt got that one completely wrong. He just threw it up the inside. Siebel was already turning in. They both rejoined, but Polocek's gone through. I'm going to watch this one again. On the replay, Rualt had an opportunity. He saw a gap, but unfortunately he wasn't far enough alongside for my money. Siebel was already turning into the apex. Rualt suddenly realizes, backs himself into a corner he can't really get out of, and Rualt and Siebel pirouette around together. Disaster, absolute disaster in this race. So now Siebel and Rualt are at it again, this time for 9th position. So that means that Ruiz is 4th, Milan is now 5th, Edward Batalla is 6th from Antonio Gralanovic, Tobias Polocek, and then Siebel and Rualt. Well, is Stefan Rualt going to feel the guilt? Well, he's going to try again. Siebel turns in on him. How dare you spin me off? But Rualt gets through anyway. Well, Alex Siebel is going to be a very angry chap at the moment. Oh, contact from Matt Strand. It looks like Strand's had an incident there. Rob Mason was closing him in. Going to watch the replay again into turn 2. David Yunt describing the incident between Rualt and Siebel by saying, "You don't overtake there." Oh, no, Matt Strand didn't get contact with anybody. He just lost it on his own on the exit of the hairpin at turn 2. Now, Carlos Fernandez is one of the first to make a pit stop. And Mike Quint, I'm afraid to say, looks like he's out of the race. He's gone off the road. Big accident this time for Mike Quint. Suspension damage. And I'm afraid it's game over. That is a real shame. Now, we're in the pit stops as drivers are starting to make their moves to come in. Bobka Hoekstra's got past Muscat. That was on the run up to turn 2. Going to watch the replay. They've just passed Carlos Fernandez out of the pits. And Hoekstra got a great run out of turn 1. Up the inside line. Forces Muscat to break deeper. And Hoekstra into the place. Very nicely done. So the Dutchman in second place now. Now, how crucial is that going to be when we get to pit stops for these guys, the leaders? At the moment, it's only some of the lesser runners, Carlos Fernandez and Garrett de Vries, who have made pit stops. When's Fournier pitting? Not yet. Hoekstra, Muscat. Whoa, Muscat pushing really hard. Ruiz, Milan, Batalla, Relanovic, Polocek, Stefan Rualt trying to get away from Alex Siebel, and well, he might. Now, who's going to be the first big player to make a pit stop? They're obviously on the harder tyres first. So they're going to make short work of the softer compound. So Fournier out in front by only 2 seconds now to Vodka Hoekstra. So Hoekstra is definitely reading him in. And that's an interesting point. Working very hard indeed to close up the gap, and it's working. Ruiz and Milan in 4th and 5th are being chased down by Eduard Batalla, who's now in 6th position. Antonio Gralanovic in 7th place. Polotczek is 8th, Rualt is 9th, and Alex Siebel is 10th. Closest battle on the racetrack at the moment is James Johnson, I think, trying to keep away from Dominic Foster, other than the leaders, of course. Mark Fuller has just been into the pits, I do believe. Either that or Fournier has lapped him on pure pace. But the car behind, right behind Fuller, in terms of being lapped, is actually Vodka Hoekstra. But he could get held up here. Now Fuller gets right out of the way. So that will only cost him a few tenths of a second. And he swerves right across. Well, Vodka, I know that's frustration that you got held up there by Fuller, but that's a very dangerous manoeuvre. Could have cost you your own race there. Muscat makes the move now on Fuller. But crucially, there's been a little bit... Oh, Ruiz has spun it! Ruiz has spun it in turn 1. Now, what happened there what happened to Edgar Ruiz? He was in 4th place. Was it just driver error? Just watching back on the replay. But Ruiz, yes, he just caught the inside curb a little too sharply. And that's it, game over. So Ruiz is now struggling to keep Paolini at bay. Oh, Dino Paolini is going to get through here in a 10th position unless Ruiz can hold him off. So Vodka Hoekstra is now less than 2 seconds behind the race leader. So Geoffrey Fournier going through the left-right sweeper. If you look back, there is Hoekstra. He's right with him. Muscat's gone as well. Now Eduard Batalla has got past Borja Milan, so he's now into 4th position. What a race this is from Eduard Batalla. Polotczek 7th, Rualt is now 8th, Siebel is 9th, and Edgar Ruiz has repassed Dino Paolini to remain 10th. Well, we're obviously 61% through the race now, so it's going to be any minute now before we start seeing drivers make their pit stops. We're on to lap 26 as Tobias Polotczek has lost the place to Stefan Rualt. Was that a mistake, or did Rualt try an audacious move? Let's have a look on the replay. Polotczek drops the car through the final turn. Whoops! Gets onto the curb, onto the grass, and that's enough to let Rualt through. So Polotczek, I'm afraid now, is down to 11th position. So Rualt got through, Siebel got through, Ruiz and Paolini. So a big problem there for Tobias Polotczek as he runs out of luck. Now, Geoffrey Fournier is only 1.4 ahead of Vodka Hoekstra. Hoekstra is sensing an opportunity here. This is a really tough battle. Oh, it looks like Mike Quint has made his way onto the YouTube feed. He says, my game had lag issues when I was 9th. I couldn't keep the car on the track anymore. What a shame from Mike Quint. Disastrous race. Definitely not his own making. That when your car starts to have difficulties, there really isn't much to do. Now, Eduard Batalla is the first of the big names to make the pit stop. So Batalla pits in from, 4th position. He's having a great run, but he's the first to blink. So Batalla deciding that he'll be the first one to get a new set of boots on. It's a good stop. Now, where's he going to feed out? He should feed out behind Duvet Tapper and in front of Sandeep Choda. And that will put him into 12th position. Good exit, please, Edward. Nicely done. Good job. Now, Sandeep Choda's up to speed, so Batalla may lose the place by turn 2. James Johnson into the pits as well. But Geoffrey Fournier's got other things to worry about. Vodka Hoekstra and Jason Muscat still battling away for that 2nd position. Muscat almost with a chance to get through there. Borja Milan is now 4th, Rolanovic 5th, and Rualt 6th. But don't forget that Eduard Batalla has just pitted, so we need to take that into context as well. Geoffrey Fournier in the final 2 bends. Keeps it going. He's not pitting yet. Hoekstra and Muscat, they drive on. Borja Milan lapping Fuller. 9 seconds adrift from the leaders. That just shows you what happens in the drag. Rolanovic 5th, Rualt 6th. None of them are pitting. Alex Siebel goes through. Trying to close up on Carlos Fernandez to put a lap on him. Ruiz, Paolini, they've all gone through. Polotczek in 10th. Duvet Tapper in 11th position. No pit stop for him. Now that is Edgar Ruiz making the move. trying not to allow Dino Paolini to make the move, but Paolini got him. So Paolini makes the move into 8th position on the main straight. Well, Edward Battalla has pitted, but nobody else has yet. So we're on lap 28. Geoffrey Fournier continues to lead the race. So David Yunt, of course, reminding me that there are different compounds. Yes, I'm aware of that. I'm just not sure which is which. I'm guessing, obviously, we're on the harder compounds now. And the drivers are going on to the softs. Softer of the compounds, I should say. Here's Matt Strand. So he pits in. Matt Strand pitting in from about 15th position, I think he was. So he will rejoin probably in around the same sort of part of the racetrack as James Johnson. I think Johnson's just going to be behind Matt Strand as he rejoins. There is Johnson and there is Matt Strand. So back to the leaders. Fournier continues on. No pit stop yet. Neither for Hoekstra, Muscat, Milan, Gralanovic or Stefan Rualt. In fact, Rualt is actually gaining ground on Antonio Gralanovic to move up into 5th position. Now, what you have to remember, of course, is that Stefan Rualt is, to a certain degree, as far as Alex Siebel is concerned, racing under a cloud. He may well be up in front of the stewards later. Here's Stefan Rualt into 5th position, up the inside of Antonio Gralanovic and gets through. Good exit. Yes, that's textbook. He's into 5th position. Now, Sandit Choda and Gerard Battalla are both into the pits on this lap. So we're into those phases of the race. Onto the softer compounds they'll go. It's interesting to see who's going to make these the current tyres that they're on last the longest, so that they'll minimise how long they'll have to be on the softs, because obviously they will wear quicker. So the balancing act has got to be taken into account here. Dennis Jordan, interestingly, through the pit stops, is now up into 15th position. He did make a pit stop on lap 1, but whether he needs to make another one or not, I'm not so sure. The difficulty he's got, of course, is tyre life. He's got to make them last as long as he possibly can. So Dennis Jordan may have actually bought himself a chance to go for a decent points finish here. So don't count him out. Into the pits comes Antonio Gralanovic. So Gralanovic comes into the pit lane then. And he is there in the top 10 for the moment. Tapper will go through, but the big question is, will Edward Battalla go through? Looks like he's going to. There goes Battalla. He passes Gralanovic now. Big question, Tobias Polotczek. Can Gralanovic beat Polotczek out of the pit? It's going to be really tight. Polotczek's going to have more speed. They're going to be side by side as they come through. Polotczek is just going to beat him on the way through to the braking zone. But Gralanovic is still on the inside line. If he uses the draft, he can get back on the inside line. He needs to do it now. Oh, the back end twitches and somehow he keeps the car pointing in a straight line. That's such a critical overtake from Antonio Gralanovic. He needed to do that. Now, Fournier is about to go on to lap 31. That means he'll only have 11 laps to go. They're leaving this pit stop as late as possible. Into the pits comes Muscat. Now, is he going to beat them on the undercut? Going to be an interesting one to call here. Oh, Fernandez is out. Carlos Fernandez appears to be out of the race, I'm afraid. So Fernandez is the latest to join the retirees list. Meanwhile, Muscat leaves the pits. Now, he should get out in front of Edward Battalla. No problem at all. Yes, he's going to, because Battalla is at the final turn and Muscat is at the first corner. So that's no problem. Into the pits comes Edgar Ruiz. It's been a real up and down race for him, struggling after that spin at turn 1. But he now pits. This is a couple of seconds to think, oh my goodness, what did I do that for? But there's nothing you can do about it except just get on with it. Now, Jason Muscat has rejoined in 7th behind Dino Paolini. As into the pits comes Rob Mason. Now, Geoffrey Fournier, we're looking back to him in the lead. So Fournier, on my monitors, 1.8 seconds ahead of Vopko Hoekstra. Is he going to make a pit stop now? No, he continues on. 10 laps to go. Vopko Hoekstra is in. Now, this is the critical pit stop for the podium. Who's done this right, Muscat or Hoekstra? So what is Vopko Hoekstra going to do? Is he going to get out in front of Jason Muscat or behind him? Rualt moves into 2nd position for the moment. Dino Paolini's in the pits as well. So there goes Borja Milan into 4th position, but he still needs to pit. Here comes Hoekstra. Where's Jason Muscat? Hoekstra's done it by a mile. Hoekstra's done it by a country mile on Jason Muscat. Now that's big. Hoekstra's got about 4 to 5 seconds on Jason Muscat. So that is almost certainly second place sealed. Now, if he got a good stop and Fournier gets a bad one, Wopke Hoekstra could win this race. Stefan Rualt is second now from Siebel and Borja Milan. But all 4 of those guys at the front still need to pit. Duvet Tapper is up to 7th. But again, I'm fairly certain he has not pitted yet. Edward Batalla is 8th. Polocek is 9th. Rolanovic is 10th. All of these guys have pitted. Paulini, Ruiz, Choda, Dennis Jordan, and Jared Batalla. Now, if Jordan could just look after these tyres, he'll pick up points whatever happens. Fournier continues on. Fournier goes on. Now, Borja Milan has lost the place to Wopke Hoekstra. Now, how did he do that? Because he was ahead of Hoekstra. Has he made a mistake somewhere? Oh, yes, big wobble. A big twitch off the turn. And there's definitely something wrong with Milan's car. Looks to me as though Hoekstra has gone through, no problem. Duvet Tapper in the pits, and so too is Borja Milan. So Milan and Tapper coming together. It looked to me as though Milan had a problem there, though. He just lost control of the car and allowed Wopke Hoekstra to go through. So I think Milan's got maybe some suspension damage or something from the curbs. Duvet Tapper's going past him. Borja Milan with difficulties. So Fournier continues, as does Stefan Rualt, as does Alex Siebel. Now, those 3 have left it very late, but they've got to make a pit stop. So this is really, I'm guessing, the moment. No, Fournier continues. So Fournier stays out. What about Stefan Rualt? Is he going to make a pit stop? Yes. It looks to me as though Rualt is going to pit in this time. In he comes from second position. Now, what's Siebel going to do? Is he going to mirror the move? No, Alex Siebel is continuing on. So it looks like the last 2 drivers to pit are going to be Jeffrey Fournier and Alex Siebel. Looks to me as though, according to Kurisu166 on YouTube, Borja had a collision with a back marker. I didn't see that. Apologies. So Stefan Rualt makes his way out of the pits. Now, where's he going to get back in? Quite a long way in front of Eduard Batalla, actually. So Rualt has actually beaten Batalla out of the pits. So Rualt is in effectively a net 4th position, I guess. Although Siebel might beat him out by staying out longer. Well, this is going to be really interesting. Jeffrey Fournier leading the way here. 17.6 clear of Alex Siebel, but both those drivers need to pit. It's all up to Fournier where he's going to get out. Now he pits. So the race leader, Jeffrey Fournier, comes into the pit. He leaves it as late as he dares. Alex Siebel will most likely do the same on this lap as well. But Jeffrey Fournier is only focused on one man. That man is Wopke Hoekstra. Siebel continues. So Alex Siebel is not pitting yet. So Alex Siebel will take the lead. Jeffrey Fournier goes out of the pits. But the big question is, will he beat Wopke Hoekstra out of the pit lane? Hoekstra's on the main straight. Fournier's getting up to speed. Jeffrey Fournier's going to hold on to his lead. Big twitch as he comes out of the pits. It's a big moment for Fournier, but he leads in front of Wopke Hoekstra. So on aggregate, that means that Fournier is still in front. Hoekstra in second, Muscat third. Rualt is either going to be 4th or 5th. I wonder if staying out a bit longer for Alex Siebel means he will get himself into 4th position. He won't beat Muscat out of the pits, but he might just beat Stefan Rualt. That's, of course, the man he wants to... the man he wants to beat in this one is Stefan Rualt after their collision earlier on. But to see that Siebel and Rualt are genuinely in contention for the top 6, despite that collision, is pretty good. So let's see how this works out. I'm watching the leader, Alex Siebel. 3.2 seconds ahead of Jeffrey Fournier. Into the pits for Siebel. No! Alex Siebel carries on. He is determined to try and gain enough of a ground on Stefan Rualt. So Alex Siebel putting in a couple more laps in the lead. Jeffrey Fournier in second place. And Wopke Hoekstra in third. Muscat is 4th from Rualt and Eduard Batalla. Now, interestingly, Stefan Rualt is now lapping pretty quickly. Because, of course, he's on a softer compound of tyre than Alex Siebel. So this is starting to look a little bit futile for Alex Siebel as Rualt laps Foster. So Dominic Foster gets out of the way, no problem. But Alex Siebel, leading the race, is on an old set of tyres. Oh, Foster almost goes into the back of Stefan Rualt. That was very close indeed for Dominic Foster. He must thank his lucky stars. He managed to get the car stopped again. Jason Muscat in 4th position is not able to keep up with Wopke Hoekstra on these new tyres. Fournier seems to have settled into his rhythm pretty well. Hoekstra in 2nd effectively. Polocek dives down the inside of Edouard Battala, and that's enough to get into 6th position. So Polocek into turn 3 makes a beautiful dicing move onto Edouard Battala, and that'll do nicely. So Alex Siebel continues on. He is still not pitting. Alex Siebel is going to leave this as late as is physically possible. I think he's trying to build up as much of a gap as he can, but still, there is absolutely no Alex Siebel pit stop. Okay, so James Early asks what happened to the co-commentator. Unfortunately, Ryan Ferris was able to make it in the end due to technical difficulties. We'll try and make sure he's back in time for the next round of the championship in 2 weeks' time. Apologies to those who are hoping to hear both of us. I can assure you, Ryan Ferris will leave you in safe hands when he gets himself on the microphone for GPVWC coverage. So we'll hopefully hear from him in the next few weeks. Right, Alex Siebel out in front. Jeffrey Fournier in 2nd position, but Siebel has got to pit. It's mandatory pit stop. We're on lap 37 of 41. Siebel does not want to spend much time on those tyres. As Strand is off the circuit, Matt Strand is off the road and out of the race. He's stuck in the gravel trap, so Matt Strand is out. And Siebel carries on. Siebel continues to lead the race. Well, this is unbelievable from Alex Siebel. I'm sure he hasn't pitted yet. I'm trying to figure out if my calculations are wrong in that Alex Siebel hasn't pitted yet, but I'm sure he hasn't. Started to second guess myself now, but Alex Siebel is still running out in front, but I'm convinced he hasn't pitted yet. He's going to leave it as late as is physically possible before he makes his pit stop. We're on lap 38 out of 41. So James Early asks, do some drivers refuel at the pits or not? I don't think you do, actually. Mike Quint asks, will Siebel pit on the final lap? I suppose he's allowed to. David Yunt says, Schumacher finish. I'm sure he's referring to the 1998 British Grand Prix when he took a penalty on the very last lap of the race, of course, and technically crossed the finish line before he took his penalty. Here is Siebel. Now he makes his pit stop. At last, on lap 38 out of 41. He only wants 3 laps on these tyres. And I wonder if that's because he wants his nearest opposition to have worn softer compounds. Siebel will be able to gun it like crazy for 3 laps as Fournier goes into the lead. Wopke Hoekstra goes in a second. And now it's Jeffrey Fournier's race to lose. So Fournier is out in front looking good. Hoekstra second, Muscat third, Rualt in 4th. Siebel is getting going again, but I think he's going to lose the place to Polocek if he's not careful. Well, Siebel goes through. Polocek comes into the pits as well. He's decided to leave the pit stop to as late as humanly possible, and Alex Siebel rejoins in 5th in the hope that these next 3 laps are going to be much better for him than they are for Stefan Rualt. Otherwise, I don't see why he stayed out so long. Did he just want some television time? Battala is 6th, Rolanovic 7th, battling away with Dino Paolini. Paolini's having another crack at him. So Dino Paolini trying to get into 7th position, right at the bitter end of this motor race. Here comes Paolini up the inside line. Can't make the move on Rolanovic. He has to back down. Duve Tapper, by the way, is in 9th position, ahead of Borja Milan, Tobias Polocek, and Edgar Ruiz. Amazing what a difference the race has made. Now, Dennis Jordan, having made that pit stop earlier, has been able to look after his tyres beautifully, and he's in 13th, so he's actually saved his bacon a little bit there and bought himself a really good starting position. Well, I say good, but it's a lot better than the last couple of cars on the grid for Dennis Jordan. a much better starting position for the next one. Now, Geoffrey Fournier is on lap 40 out of 41, and in there behind him is his teammate, Rob Mason. A big wobble there through the apex for Rob Mason as Fournier continues to go through. But Mason has lapped his team. Mason has been lapped by his teammate, I should say, as Geoffrey Fournier looks like he's on the run to victory. Now, Antonio Relanovic still battling away for 7th position to hang on to it in front of Dino Paolini. But Paolini is giving it everything he's got towards the end of this race. Now, I didn't see where, but Gerrit de Vries appears to be out of the race as well. I didn't see that. Apologies. So we now have 6 retirements. We have TJ Halsema, we have Mike Quint, Gerrit de Vries, Carlos Fernandez, Andrei Peshtov, and Matt Strand. So there's only 19 cars still running. Mason, Foster, Johnson, and Fuller are bookending the field. But Geoffrey Fournier goes into his final lap. This is going to be an interesting one in terms of the championship fight. Geoffrey Fournier is looking for that victory. He's worked so hard here today. He's put himself in exactly the right position. From the start, he got himself into a good lead. And now Geoffrey Fournier in a good position. Mason being the gentleman and getting right out of the way of Wopke Hoekstra on the last lap. The gap has come down to 2.3 seconds, by the way. But I don't think Fournier is going to matter about that too much. That's not his concern anymore. Geoffrey Fournier is going to make sure this victory is his for the taking. It's been a great race. It's been a great run. He's had an absolutely brilliant race of it. And Geoffrey Fournier is going to come through for a well-deserved victory. He's been in exactly the right position. And with a lead that is uncontrollable at the moment, Wopke Hoekstra is close, 2.6, but it's not going to be enough to challenge in the final few corners. It's been a good, solid run. Geoffrey Fournier has controlled the pace of this race from the front. He's pushed when he needed to, conserved when it was necessary. Into the final turn, Geoffrey Fournier takes the flag and wins the first race at the Red Bull Ring in Supercup in 2017. Superlative drive. Boom! Take that, everybody. Fournier wins in magnificent fashion. Wopke Hoekstra is 2nd place, a good result for Wopke. 3rd place for Jason Muscat. 4th is Stefan Rualt, who crawls to a standstill at the exit of the first corner. Alex Siebel is 5th. Edward Batalla is 6th from Antonio Relanovic. Dino Paolini. Duve Tapper is 9th across the line. And Tobias Polotzek rounds out the top 10 in front of, Borja Milan, who I think lost that place right at the death. Borja Milan is 11th from Edgar Ruiz, who will just be in front of James Johnson on the road. Dennis Jordan will be 13th from Gerard Batalla, Sandip Choda, Rob Mason, who has already been lapped, Dominic Foster, James Johnson, and Mark Fuller. Retirements from Matt Strand, Andrei Peshtov, Carlos Fernandez, Gerrit de Vries, Mike Quint, and TJ Halsema. But it's a victory, and rightly so, for Geoffrey Fournier. Great to see the support on the YouTube. Joshua Anderson, my co-commentator for tomorrow night Super League, says, well done indeed, thoroughly deserved. Chris Shepherd, he'll be so happy. He certainly will. What an absolutely brilliant performance. I genuinely am running out of superlatives for the drive today. We're so controlled. So controlled. An absolutely brilliant result for Geoffrey Fournier and a great victory in fantastic circumstances. So we look through the way that the competition has worked out so far then in the 2017 proceedings. Well, it's been an interesting history so far. But what a great run it's been. And that, of course, means that Jason Muscat's lead has been chipped away at a little bit. But it's a very well-deserved victory from Geoffrey Fournier. He was 5th in Spain, but this time he has a well-deserved victory in his back pocket. Brilliant performance, great job. And you have to say, there is possibly a chance for another one like that in the second race. Of course, we now have to take the reverse grid into account, but that's not a bad way to get things going. So back into the action again for warm-up then for the second race of the day, and obviously having just become the 5th different winner in the 2017 season in Supercup. All eyes are on Jeffrey Fournier as he joins Tobias Polotczek, Jason Muscat, Alex Siebel and Antonio Brlanovic in the winner's circle for 2017. And we've just been told by race control that the reverse grid number is 7. That means that our pole position sitter is going to be Antonio Brlanovic. Now that's an interesting one. So that means that Fournier, of course, will start from P7. And that means that he's going to have a good opportunity, actually. And you have to feel sorry for Dino Paolini, to be honest, because he was there in 8th position, so nearly got past Antonio Brlanovic on the last lap. So he could easily have started this race from pole position himself. I think Wopke Hoekstra has just sent him a message of condolence. Poor Dino, he says. Well, I feel for you as well, actually, to be fair. That's cruel in a certain way. But what this does mean is that drivers such as Alex Siebel and Stefan Rualt have an opportunity to redeem themselves here in the sprint race. 25 laps, of course, this second race. No pit stops. At least if there is a pit stop, you know something's gone wrong. But now we've got ourselves a very interesting scenario with the drivers in this race, because we have a second race to go through, and obviously so far this season only one race meeting, I should say, has seen the race 1 winner win the second race as well. That was in Russia, where Alex Siebel got the first race and the second race victory. Other than that, it's been different winners in each of the races. Polotczek won race 1 at Australia from Muscat in race 2. Siebel won race 1 in China from Muscat in race 2. And then, of course, we had Antonio Brlanovic winning race 1 in Valencia and Tobias Polotczek winning race 2. So there's a couple of drivers just try and get a little bit more into it. And let's see exactly how drivers are working out. Right, I've been told that it's 24 laps. My apologies. Rather than 25. That's my mistake. Apologies. So it is 24 laps or 45 minutes, depending on what happens first. And I have a feeling that with these good weather conditions and the good driving standards we've had from this weekend, it is going to be 24 laps. So we shouldn't have to worry about that. I have to echo some of the comments that were made in the YouTube feed about how clean the first race was, actually. There were a couple of incidents, most notably the Stefan Rualt-Alex Siebel collision. But other than that, really, driving standards were pretty much on point. So looks like it's going to be an interesting one. So while we're on the warm-up scenario, let's talk you through the starting grid for this second race. It's going to be Antonio Brlanovic on pole position from Eduard Battalla, who will be on P2. Alex Siebel will be third, and he's obviously going to be an early favourite going into this one, although so too, technically speaking, is Antonio Brlanovic, who's already had a victory this year. Stefan Rualt will start from P4. Jason Muscat will be starting from P5 with Wopke Hoekstra in 6th. 7th position will be our race 1 winner, Jeffrey Fournier, ahead of Dino Paolini in 8th. Live Tapper will be 9th from Tobias Polotczek in 10th. Then it's Borja Milan and Edgar Ruiz, the 2 TG racing cars, sharing the 6th row. Dennis Jordan will be P13. Keep an eye on him. Jared Battalla from 14. Sandeep Choda will be 15th on the grid ahead of Rob Mason. Then Dominic Foster will be 17th on the starting grid ahead of James Johnson in 18th. Mark Fuller will be 19th. Matt Strand, 20th position. 21st will be Andrei Peshtov. 22nd, Carlos Fernandez. 23rd will be Gerrit de Vries. 24th position will be Mike Quint. And then 25th on the grid, providing he starts the race, is going to be TJ Halsema. But at the moment, he is not currently on the server, so that'll be interesting. Our time runs out to nothing, so any moment now it will be a second race start, and not a bad meeting this is turning out to be here in Austria for our first ever DX11 broadcast. Hang tight, because when we return, it'll be the rolling lap for the sprint race in GPVWC Supercup.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So the rolling lap begins here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. It's going to be a cracking race, this one. The reverse grid shows Antonio Hrlanovic on pole position from Edward Battala in second place. Alex Siebel is third from Stefan Rualt in fourth position. Jason Muscat lines up on row 3 alongside Vodka Hoekstra. Jeffrey Fournier will be in seventh on the grid on the fourth row after his race 1 victory. Dino Paolini lines up beside him. Duve Tapper is on the 5th row alongside Tobias Polocek. Borja Milan and Edgar Ruiz making an all-TG Racing row 6. Dennis Jordan should be a threat from P13. Jared Battala is alongside him. Sandip Choda and Rob Mason are next. And Dominic Foster in 17th position. Looks as though those two have actually tangled on the exit of turn 2. Thank goodness they didn't take each other out at this early stage. James Johnson is 18th. Mark Fuller is 19th from Matt Strand. Andrei Peshtov, Carlos Fernandez, Gerrit de Vries, and Mike Quint. And unfortunately, it looks to me as though TJ Halsema will be a non-starter. I'm going to echo what I've written on the YouTube feed for those who haven't seen it. I love DX11 more than I love Oxygen. This thing looks absolutely stunning. And having commented on races at the Red Bull Ring in GP3 before for Eurosport, I can honestly put my hand on my heart and say this looks just as good, if not better. Hrlanovic on the pole, Battala second, Siebel third, Rualt fourth, Muscat, Hoekstra, Fournier, Paolini, Tapper, Polocek, Milan and Ruiz, Jordan and Battala, Choda and Mason, Foster and Johnson, Fuller, Strand, Peshtov, Fernandez, de Vries and Quint. And even row 12 is going to be an interesting one to watch with Gerrit de Vries and Mike Quint on it. They will no doubt be charging hard from the outset. So as we get ourselves underway, this is going to be a cracking battle. Hang on to your hats, folks. The sprint race is about to get underway in GPVWC Super Cup. Will we get a 6th different winner? Let's find out. Lights on. We're racing in the Red Bull Ring. Hrlanovic gets a reasonable getaway. Looks as though he's going to be in position at the first corner, no problem. Siebel in second position. He's going to get squeezed out here by Battala. Battala hangs on to second position as the field works its way. It's a clean start in the first corner. Will it remain that way into turn 2? Hrlanovic continues to lead it. Battala's got Siebel on the inside. Battala moves to cover it. As we go through the first couple of corner, contact in the midfield. Milan comes together with Polocek, and there's a couple of cars a little bit stationary in the middle of the pack, but they all just about squeeze through. Again, incredible. They all made it through, largely without incident. So we get through the first corner without a major drama, as everybody tries their best to work their way through the first couple of corners. Dennis Jordan is in 14th position already. So he's there or thereabouts with a little bit more work to do, but Hrlanovic is your leader. Edward Battala second from Siebel, Rualt, Hoekstra, Fournier, Muscat, Paolini, Milan and Tapper. Plenty of drivers can make a bit of a play in this one, as Antonio Hrlanovic goes in hunt of his 2nd win of the season. He won the feature race earlier in the year at Valencia. Now he wants to get his first sprint race victory of the season. Hrlanovic leading, Battala, Siebel, Stefan Rualt is 4th from Vodka Hoekstra, Jeffrey Fournier into 6th already, ahead of Jason Muscat. Good start from Fournier. Paolini 8th, Borja Milan 9th, Tapper's got Polocek to his left, to his right, sorry. Side by side, and they're both going to catch Borja Milan before the braking zone. Now this is going to be awkward, because Tapper's not going to have anywhere really to go. Muscat's lost it on the exit of the corner in front of them. He manages to get it back together without losing a place, but that was close. Milan, Polocek, Ruiz and Tapper Oh, getting a little bit inside. Sandy Choda's trying to make the move on the inside of Duvet Tapper. Tapper's trying to come to the other side. Choda makes contact with Tapper's car. Gets into the back of Dennis Jordan. Dennis Jordan goes into the back of Choda, I should say. But somehow that is about all the contact they get from it. Jason Muscat in 7th position, trying to catch up to the top 6 once again. Fournier is there in P6, trying to hang with Wopke Hoekstra. Stefan Rualt is still in 4th place as the field works its way through. No major catastrophes as yet. Fantastic driving standards in the Super Cup this year, as one of the toughest circuits to get a clean start on has seen nobody even with damage, let alone any major offs on the circuit. When I say no damage, there might well be a couple of panels here or there, but nothing that is bringing anybody into the pits. Andrei Peshtov is a little way back, so clearly he's had a bit of an incident on that last lap, just a quick spin perhaps. But Antonio Hranovic going well. Now, Duvet Tapper still in this battle. Dives up the inside. Rob Mason makes the move on Johnson. Mike Quint is there in 17th. Dennis Jordan has had a spin. That's why Dennis Jordan has dropped all the way back down the order. I didn't see what happened. I'm just going to watch the replay. Jordan goes in. Oh, he got tagged. He got tagged there by Batalla. Dennis Jordan got hit into a spin there by Batalla. He is not going to be happy about that one. I'm just going to watch that a second time because Dennis Jordan, one of the battlers for the championship there, it was Gerard Batalla, missed his braking into the second hairpin, and that's what caused the spin. So Gerard Batalla is now obviously going to have a bit of a conversation at the end of this weekend with the stewards. Antonio Hranovic, meanwhile, has got Edward Batalla right on his tail. And I have to say, I'm really, really impressed with Batalla here this weekend. He's been really on it and got himself into some strong positions over the course of this meeting. Got a clean start for this one. Not easy when you're on the front row of the grid in a sprint race on a reverse grid, but so far his pace is convincing. He knows he's only 1 place away from a victory, but he's got to pace himself. There's 24 laps in this race, and we're only on lap 4. Hranovic, Batalla, Siebel in 3rd, Rualt in 4th, from Fournier in 5th, Hoekstra, Muscat, Paolini, and Paolini's in the battles again. Tobias Polotczek trying to come through, not letting you get by, mate. Borja Milan in 10th ahead of Edgar Ruiz and Duvet Tapper, so Tapper down to 12th. I think he got caught out in the avoidance for Jordan's spin. Dennis Jordan is back up to 20th, by the way, having got past Gerrit de Vries, Mark Fuller and Rob Mason. So now he's trying to chase down Matt Strand. This is an absolute nightmare for Dennis Jordan. Don't forget, of course, that Jordan came into this round of the championship as 2nd position in the drivers' standings. 3 podiums, not even close to that this time. This is a nightmare. Now we've got Hranovic about to lose. Batalla gets through, and Batalla takes the lead. So Edward Batalla is about to get himself a complete lap in the lead for the Racing Team Schroten squad. But is that all Hranovic is about to lose? Because Alex Siebel is closing in as well. Hranovic is trying to come back, and Batalla trying to go the long way round that. You're going to get on the curbs. Siebel's going to go through, and Stefan Ruart's going to have another go as well. Hranovic might have a chance on the inside of Siebel. He runs deep. The problem is the marbles have now gone onto the tyres. So this is going to cause a bit of a headache. Stefan Ruart now has a chance to close up, and Jeffrey Fournier is in for company in 5th. So Wopke Hoekstra has dropped down to 7th behind Jason Muscat. So Edward Batalla has taken the lead of this race. Siebel, Hranovic, Rualt, Fournier, Muscat, Hoekstra, Paolini, Polotczak, and rounding up the top 10 now is Borja Milan. So Batalla leads. Siebel now through in a 2nd position, as we know, but Siebel is going to be hunting after Batalla. Alex Siebel wants win number 4. He missed the first round of the championship in Australia, but if he keeps his point score high here, he could get himself into the frame for the championship lead. He goes alongside. He goes the long way round. Batalla cuts wide. Now there's a good chance on the undercut for Siebel. Batalla shuts the door. Meanwhile, Fournier gets the move on Antonio Hranovic. So Rualt's already got him. So I think what happened there is Rualt got past Hranovic, sorry. Yes, he's got him in the braking zone. And Fournier sees the opportunity and gone by as well. Milanovic got wide on the exit. That's why he lost it. So Battala still leads it. Siebel is second, but Stefan Rualt is now right behind him. Fournier is fourth from Milanovic, Hoekstra, Muscat and Polocek. Alex Siebel still putting Edward Battala under pressure. What a top five this is. Battala has yet to win a race this year. The pressure on him as he comes through the final corner. Siebel has won 3 times this year in just 6 starts. Stefan Rualt yet to win a race this year. 3 podiums, sorry, but not a victory. Jeffrey Fournier has just broken his duck for the 2017 season in the first race. And Antonio Milanovic won the feature race in Valencia. A great quintet here. Now is Rualt going to get the move on Siebel? No, Siebel defends. Rualt's going to try and get the undercut on Alex Siebel. Siebel squeezes him out, runs him out of road. But Siebel is not going to be denied here. Rualt is still there to his inside line. These two have already battled. Rualt is going to put himself on the inside. Siebel is going to try and defend. Fournier is going to get past both of them. Fournier's through. Milanovic goes door to door with Siebel now. Milanovic is back through in a fourth. Alex Siebel is going to be fuming at Stefan Rualt. Jeffrey Fournier, though, is through and clear in a second position. Now, if he could get onto the back of Edward Battala, he could win both races. That was such an incredible battle, and it's not over yet as Milanovic tries to sweep back on the inside of Alex Siebel. Siebel resists. Milanovic goes wide. Bobka Hoekstra is going to get past him, surely on the main straight. He's got a lot more speed. Milanovic is going to see him go to his right. No, he's going to defend, but Bobka Hoekstra is there. Milanovic is still going to be alongside him. They're still side by side. Jason Muscat is watching this go on. Go on, guys, hit each other. I'll get another couple of places. Muscat waits for a moment. Hoekstra's on the inside. Milanovic wobbles. Muscat's got a chance. Can't get by. Now, Jeffrey Fournier is down to third. Stefan Rualt got past him at turn 2. I want to see how that happened again. Rualt just got a good run on Fournier. Braked very late. Shut the door on the exit. That's enough to get through. So Stefan Rualt in second place now in front of Jeffrey Fournier. Siebel is fourth. Bobka Hoekstra is fifth. Milanovic is down to sixth. And it looks like Muscat's going to demote him down to seventh. Muscat squeezes him out. Good move from Muscat. Beautiful overtake from Jason Muscat, the championship leader coming into this race. Milanovic is having to do everything he can not to throw it up the inside. He's got to be patient now. He's got to wait for another opportunity to present itself. Meanwhile, Edward Battala goes into lap 9, leading the race for the Schroten team. And it looks to me as though we've had another retirement or two. Mike Quint is out with suspension failure. So too is Carlos Fernandez. So too is James Johnson. So problems for them in the opening stages of this race, I'm afraid to say. Absolutely brilliant battle. Mike Quint is not happy with something. I have a feeling there. Well, it looks as though Mike Quint is saying somebody spun in the flat-out left-hander. But instead of going on the grass, he went straight into him, unfortunately. So that's it. And I'm afraid to say that is game over twice in a row for Mike Quint. Edward Battala continues to lead here. Stefan Rualt second, Fournier third, Siebel fourth, Hoekstra fifth, Muscat sixth, Milanovic, Paolini, Polocek and Milan. Now, Borja Milan is starting to get onto the tail of Tobias Polocek in their battle for 9th position. I don't just want to focus on the leaders and trying to keep it as balanced as possible, but it's so tough to know where to look. Even further back, we've got Sandip Choda in his own battle with Gerard Battala. Well, he was. Gerard Battala looks like he's had a spin somewhere. I think he's spun it at turn 3. I'm just watching that replay back. Yep, Gerard Battala has lost the car while battling with Sandip Choda. He just got a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3. All it takes is one wheel on the curb and boom. So Battala leads. Stefan Rualt second, Fournier third, Siebel fourth, Hoekstra fifth, Muscat sixth and Milanovic seventh. That is how steady we are at the moment. Stefan Rualt and Jeffrey Fournier working together to close down the gap to Edward Battala. So Battala leads nicely. But is this going to be Battala taking the victory here? Can Stefan Rualt overhaul him? Or is it going to be Fournier or Siebel? Hoekstra has dropped back now in 5th position to 4.3 seconds away from the lead. Muscat is 6th. Rolanovic is 7th, but it might not stay that way for long. Dino Paolini's closing in now. So Dino Paolini looking to get one over on Antonio Rolanovic. Polocek is 9th. Borja Milan is 10th. So Edouard Battala continues to lead. Now, Stefan Rualt is close to him this time. Perhaps not into turn 2, but if he gets a good exit, he might get a run into turn 3. Stefan Rualt having a look at Battala. Look, he's trying to second guess him here on the exit. If Battala twitches, then Rualt's got a good chance into turn 3. This is good defensive driving from Battala, but this is also good intimidating driving from Rualt. Rualt's going to try. He forces Battala to defend to the inside line. Rualt can sweep back to the undercut. But no, Battala is wise to the move. Good driving there from Battala. He could easily have been cannon fodder for Rualt, but no, he was sensible and mature. He gave himself enough time to get back to it. And that's given Fournier and Siebel a chance to close up. So now we've got a 4-car scrap for the victory. And actually, Battala's got himself a bit away from Rualt. Fournier's going to make a try on Rualt. Side by side. Rualt's going to defend and go long. Fournier goes off. Recovers nicely. That was close. Alex Siebel was not close enough to move up into P3. Oh, we're almost at the halfway point in the sprint race, and this is a great battle. So let's see. Is this going to be a Battala victory? Will Rualt get the top step? Fournier in 3rd or Siebel in 4th? 1.6 seconds covers all of them. Siebel's having a look at Jeffrey Fournier. Fournier defends to the inside. Siebel's going to try and break late. Fournier breaks later. Siebel can get the undercut here for Alpha turn 2. But no, Fournier is not going to give him room. Siebel's on the draft. Fournier's going to send him to the left. Hold that inside line, Jeffrey. Move to cover. Oh, the back end's coming out for Fournier. And he holds it. Good driving there from Fournier. Stefan Rualt, meanwhile, has caught back up to Edouard Battala, and this time he is again with him. Now, the last time Rualt was this close to an opponent with an opportunity to make a move, he lunged into the corner, and unfortunately, he collected Alex Siebel as he tried to overtake him. This time, Rualt is actually hanging back a little bit. Wants another run at him. He wants to run into turn 2. So to do that, he needs to get a good exit from the final corner. That's a good move. Gets the draft of Battala. Good. Across the line. 0.2 of a second. Get a good exit out of turn 1 here. Stefan. Oh, he's hit him! He's hit him! I don't believe it! Rualt has hit Battala! Stefan Rualt misses his breaking point and hits Edouard Battala! Edouard Battala is going to be fuming! Jeffrey Fournier goes through and takes the lead. Siebel in 2nd. Bobko Hoekstra in 3rd. But Edouard Battala's race just went up in smoke. Watching again, it just gets clouded. There's nothing you can do about it. But Stefan Rualt, a big mistake from Rualt. He just misses his breaking point completely. In fact, he's only just changed it. Just looking at his, looking on his onboard, he literally starts braking a fraction after the 100-meter board. But by that point, Battala is already braking, and bang! Contact! I don't believe it. Stefan Rualt and Edouard Battala have come together. Now Rualt has rejoined in 4th position. Oh, and off the road goes Rualt. Rualt goes off the road at the final turn. Rolanovic and Muscat now with a chance to catch him. But this means that Jeffrey Fournier is left in the lead. But Alex Siebel is 0.4 of a second behind him. Hoekstra is 3rd. Rualt is 4th. How does Rualt not have more damage than this? 4th position. But now Muscat's having a go at Rolanovic. So Muscat's going to try and make the move on the inside line. Oh, should have wobbled. Muscat's on the inside. He leaves him enough room. Rolanovic leaves him space too. Good racing. Muscat's through in a 5th. Now Fournier's got Alex Siebel breathing right underneath him. David Fidock writes on the YouTube channel, that's going to be a hefty penalty for Monaco. I have to say, I do agree with him. Fournier leading though, Alex Siebel in 2nd. Is it going to be Fournier's 2nd win of the year or Siebel's 4th win of the year? Bobka Hoekstra in third position as well, waiting to pounce if they trip each other up. So Alex Siebel running behind Geoffrey Fournier. We're into the 15th lap now as they come across the line. 10 to go, folks. And Geoffrey Fournier versus Alex Siebel could well be the showdown of the season. Alex Siebel waits for a moment. Fournier wobbles. Now Siebel's got a good opportunity to get him down the straight, and Fournier knows it, so he's going to try and send him to the left. Siebel takes the invitation. Fournier now needs to squeeze him to the outside line. Siebel's in front. Fournier breaks later and keeps the position. But Siebel's got a good exit. It's not done yet. Siebel has another go. Fournier has left him the room on the inside. He's daring Siebel to break later. Siebel does break later. Fournier tries to get it back on the inside. Siebel cuts out wide. Siebel gets back through on the inside. Tries to make the move. Can't get there. Siebel takes the lead. Fournier second then. Bobka Hoekstra in third position. So Siebel takes the lead, and it looks as though it could well be his fourth win. While Joshua Anderson comes to the defence of Stefan Rualt, says that's unlike him to miss his brakes by that much. Must just have lost concentration. So easy to do. It is. But when you're battling for a race victory and you take out the leader, unfortunately, you are in no man's land with nowhere to run. And I have a feeling that the officials are going to throw the book at him for that one. Siebel in the lead now. Fournier second. Hoekstra third. Geoffrey Fournier has not given up on the race victory. He's still only 4 tenths behind Siebel. In the draft, he's got a good chance. And now Bobka Hoekstra is joining the party. Fuller has a big lock-up in front of them. He's going to need to get out of the way. Fournier's close back up on Siebel. Hoekstra's closing both of them. So we wait to see what the back markers do here, because that's Mark Fuller and Andrei Peshov in front. Siebel breaks very hard to keep Fournier at bay. Fuller gets right off the racing line. Good boy. Now Bobka Hoekstra is on the back of these two. It's going to be a three-way scrap for the victory. David Fidock makes a very good point on the feed. Bobka could be getting them both if he saved his tyres. That's a very good point. Bobka has just allowed these battles to happen. He kept himself well back. He dropped about 5 seconds off the lead at one point, but now he's right on the tail of it. He doesn't need to do any of the hard work here, effectively, Bobka. He just needs to sit on the back of Fournier, allow Siebel to get held up in traffic, Fournier to tighten up, and then if these two even clatter, he could just sweep by the same way that Siebel and Fournier did when Rualt and Battala went off the road. Or he could just catch them unawares when they're not concentrating. Stefan Rualt is 4th and Edouard Battala 7th, by the way. Fair play to both of them for getting back up to speed quickly. Edouard Battala only 8 seconds off the lead. Rualt is only 1.6 off the lead. In fact, he could go for the victory. But something tells me that a penalty that could be coming his way, even if he wins the race, is going to demote him. Siebel has got Fournier to his left. Siebel defends. Fournier tries to cut straight back to the inside line. Bobka Hoekstra has the best seat in the house. Fournier tries again. Siebel running, and that's Duvet Tapper. Duvet Tapper's out of the race. What's happened to Duvet Tapper? Oh, he's had an off somewhere. And the rear wing has come off the car. And he's out of the race. So Duvet Tapper, race over. What a disaster. So now, Alex Siebel has Geoffrey Fournier and Bobka Hoekstra right on his tail. And in fact, look who's joined the party. Stefan Rualt is back in the hunt. So this could be an interesting one for Stefan. If he gets himself onto the podium, it's going to be bittersweet because, yes, he'll have got there, but I don't think he'll be able to stay there. And Dennis Jordan appears to be out of the race as well. I'm afraid, I'm terribly sorry, I didn't see the incident that took him out, but Dennis Jordan out of the race. A miserable weekend. He will drop from 2nd position in the standings. It's a write-off of a weekend. Now, Dino Paolini has just made the move on Antonio Hranovic. Good overtake too. A stereotypical drafting on the run down to turn 2 as Geoffrey Fournier makes another bid for Siebel. So Siebel leading, Fournier right underneath him. Hoekstra is in 3rd, Rualt is in 4th. He hasn't given up on a victory. Surely, though, the penalty that's coming his way is going to be enough to drop him down. David Fidock says he should have lost his front wing in that incident. Fournier really under pressure now from Wopke Hoekstra. Oh, these guys trading blows here. Alex Siebel, Jeff Fournier, Wopke Hoekstra and Stefan Rualt. So let's see as they come through the first corner. Fournier trying to stay with Siebel. Siebel's trying to drop him. But at the moment, it's still very close. Siebel, Fournier, Hoekstra, Rualt. Oh, big slide from Fournier out of turn 2. Really big slide. Somehow manages to control it. Further back, we've got Paolini now in 5th position, trying to get away from Rolanovic. Ruiz 7th, Milan is 8th, Jason Muscat's down in 9th position. Tobias Polocek in 10th place. Jason Muscat really has faded in this sprint race. Edward Battalla has dropped to 11th, but he's probably still nursing a little bit of damage from when he was hit at the back by Stefan Rualt. So Alex Siebel in the lead, Fournier 2nd, Hoekstra 3rd, Rualt 4th. These 4 drivers still battling for the win. Oh, Rualt makes the mistake. He's made that mistake a couple of times today, but that's dropped him off the back of Wopke Hoekstra for the moment. 5 laps to go. We're on lap 20 of 24. Fournier makes a bit of a wobble there into the first corner. That's going to leave him vulnerable to Wopke Hoekstra. Has he just given Alex Siebel the victory with that mistake? Siebel's going to make a break for it now, surely. Fournier holds on to the position for the moment, but he has dropped 9/10 off the back of Siebel. Alex Siebel's like, thank you very much, guys. I'm off. But Stefan Rualt hasn't given up on a chance of the podium yet either. Fournier's having to defend from Wopke Hoekstra. Fournier slides into the inside apex, cuts across to stop Hoekstra getting alongside. Good move from Fournier. Hoekstra is not giving up on the chance of 2nd position yet. Big twitch through the left-hander, though. Hoekstra's got a good run off the corner. If he'd had a bit more straight to play with, he might have beaten Fournier to the apex. But now he has to hang back. Stefan Rualt's coming from a long way back to challenge. Hoekstra has another look. He needs to get a good lunge into the final turn here to go for the first corner. Big slide from these 3. Alex Siebel is disappearing out in front. Thanks, guys. You keep fighting. I'll just cruise for the victory. I've got 4 laps more to do with this, and I'm looking forward to it. Hoekstra on the inside of Fournier. Gets the place. Fournier tries to come back at Hoekstra. Nudges the back of the car. Now Stefan Rualt's got a chance to go for Fournier. And Fournier's going to hug that inside line because he's got the draft of Hoekstra. He's in a difficult position here. He can go for Hoekstra, but he's also got to defend from Rualt. Rualt's on the inside hairpin. No, you don't. Fournier slides and somehow holds on in front of Stefan Rualt. That man is the luckiest man in Spielberg. So Geoffrey Fournier hanging on to 3rd position, but for how much longer? Rualt 3, and that's the same move he's pulled on Siebel before now. Fournier down to 4th. So Stefan Rualt finds himself in 3rd position. Wow, that's an interesting one. So Stefan Rualt is going to be on the podium, but there's several people convinced that podium will disappear in a penalty. Edward Battalla, meanwhile, is struggling to keep Sandip Choda at bay. Choda's going to come back to the inside in the left-hander. Battalla gets out on the marbles. Oh, they come together! Oh, Ed Battalla collides with Choda. Choda gets back on, right in front of Fuller! Sandip Choda was not looking where he was going there. And it's poor Mark Fuller that pays the price. Wow. That is a big mistake from Sandip Choda. And I have a feeling that, again, the officials are not going to take kindly to that one. Ed Battalla rejoins in 12th position. So easily could have been his victory. But instead, he finds himself outside the top 10. Meanwhile, Siebel has disappeared from his opponents as he's about to go into his penultimate lap. He's on lap 22 of 24. Wopke Hoekstra has got into 2nd position. Rualt is in 3rd position, trying to fend off Geoffrey Fournier as they're now starting to lap back markers. They've just got past Gerrit de Vries. But Alex Siebel has managed to use that mistake from Jeff Fournier that allowed Wopke Hoekstra to get through and then allowed Stefan Rualt to get through. Siebel has used that opportunity to stretch out a 2.5-second advantage, which he looks completely unlikely to lose now. Stefan Rualt still running in front of Jeff Fournier. Borja Milan, meanwhile, a little further back, is trying to fend off the attention of Jason Muscat, who's trying to get himself back into the top 8. But it looks to me as though it's done and dusted at the front. Borja Milan is trying to close up on his teammate Edgar Ruiz for 7th position. Ruiz goes wide. Now Borja will, I don't know how he's going to signal to Edgar, but Edgar makes the mistake. Borja needs to get in the draft and go through here. Otherwise, he's a sitting target for Jason Muscat. Borja's going to try. No, he's not going to try. Ruiz is going to run in 7th as Wopke Hoekstra is through to, it's down to 3rd. Stefan Rualt has got through in a 2nd position. Now, is that in the draft? Yes, he got a good exit out of turn 2. A twitch from Hoekstra, and that's enough to let Rualt get through. A good sweeping move, dives across to the right. Dives across to the left, sorry, beats into the braking zone, and now Stefan Rualt is in 2nd position. He's determined to get the victory in this. He's not going to have enough time to get there. But Alex Siebel, oh, we've got more battling between Edward Patala and Sandip Choda. 11th position, they come together again. It's a little cleaner this time. Now, Borja Milan has got past Edgar Ruiz. That's good for him because Jason Muscat is coming to challenge, but Milan goes off in the final corner. That's held him up a little bit. So Stefan Rualt in 2nd position is looking likely to stay there, but on the road only. I'm fairly sure there will be a penalty handed out to him for the Ed Batalla incident. But this is going to be the 4th victory of the season for Alex Siebel. Alex Siebel is going to become a victor for the 4th time this year if he just holds on to it at the front. He missed the opening round of the championship in Australia. He won both races in Russia. He won the first in China. He retired in Valencia. But a 7th and a 6th elsewhere, and a very strong performance in race 1 means that he was given the opportunity to open the window of opportunity to get the victory in the sprint race. It's his 2nd sprint race win of the season after Sochi. It's his 4th win of the season. Into the final turn, Alex Siebel controls the pace of it to the flag, and Alex Siebel wins the sprint race in the GPVWC Super Cup. Stefan Rualt is 2nd across the line. Wopke Hoekstra is 3rd. Jeffrey Fournier is 4th. From Dino Paolini, Antonio Rolanovic. Edgar Ruiz is going to beat his teammate Borja Milan to the flag. Jason Muscat is 9th. Tobias Polotzek is going to be in 10th position. Sandip Choda is 11th. Now, if they were to say, for example, give Stefan Rualt a 30-second penalty, which I have known them do for incidents like that, that would drop him to 10th position. So that would promote Hoekstra to 2nd, Fournier to 3rd, and so on and so on. But what a disaster that was in the end for Ed Batalla. Leading and looking good before Stefan Rualt, unfortunately, and rather accidentally, ruined his race. But that's not going to be of any compensation at all to Ed Batalla. And you have to feel so sorry for him under the circumstances. But Alex Siebel makes it 4 wins this season in just 8 starts. So he has won 50% of the races he has started this year, and that gives him a great performance. That gives him a great chance to get more on the board for later on in the year. But a great result for Alex Siebel and an absolutely fantastic victory in the 2nd race. So we have 2 victors here from the Super Cup here at the Austrian round of the championship, round 5 of the series. And, well, I'm absolutely blown away. Great driving standards on the whole. A couple of big talking points from that race, though. Good to see Jeffrey Fournier become the 5th different winner in Super Cup this year. He's had a good run and a really good performance. So let's see who's going to be able to talk to us after a pretty dramatic race performance. So that basically means my math is not too hot when it comes to championship scenarios, but the real winner in terms of a points haul from that weekend was probably Alex Siebel, followed by Dino Paolini. So they've both made up some big ground on Dennis Jordan, who had an absolute horror weekend there at the Red Bull Ring. Jason Muscat did get some good points on the board, but everything I think in the championship fight is definitely going to tighten up. So it's now basically a case of who has got the consistency moving to the next round of the championship, which is, of course, going to take place in 2 weeks' time. And that will take us to the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, if we thought things were dramatic here, then at Monaco, they could well be fever pitch. Let's go and talk to a few of the drivers from the 2 races here at the Red Bull Ring. We'll start by talking to Wopke Hoekstra, who got himself on the podium in race 2 and, of course, had such a great run in race 1 as well. Wopke, fantastic result today. You must be quite happy with the points haul.
Yeah, finally a good race 2 as well. I managed to do a good race 1 in every race so far except Melbourne, but race 2 was where the problems were, and at the start of the race I made a few silly mistakes and I was driving back, so I was a bit afraid that it would happen again, but all in all 2 podiums is great to have.
So you've doubled your tally in terms of podiums in 1 race weekend, and that's got to give you some good confidence in the championship standings too.
Yeah, definitely. Still waiting for the win though, so that would be nice. I'm getting closer, so hopefully it will happen later on in the season.
And of course, the next round of the championship is Monaco. Now, that's going to be particularly difficult for you because it's going to be difficult for everybody. And getting the qualifying advantage is, of course, going to be crucial.
Yeah, I'm hoping a few guys cut their laps in in this one, actually. So they have back of the grid penalties and I can get up front. I'm sure I didn't, so that should be good. And I'm hoping for the best and, well, stay out of the walls. That's all I can hope for.
Okay, well, congratulations for this one, Wopke. Absolutely brilliant result, and we'll see you at Monaco in 2 weeks. Well done.
Thank you.
So Wopke Hoekstra there, telling us about his double podium performance here at the Red Bull Ring. It's been a good result for him. We're just waiting a couple of minutes to see if anybody else is going to hang around for the victory interview. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear from Jeff Fournier before we're able to close the stream, and likewise with Alex Siebel, who of course has had now 4 wins and 3 points finishes, as well as a DNF in Valencia and a non-start in Australia. So all very good in terms of their performances. But I think that is actually all we're going to have in terms of interviews. Everybody's still in the middle of their debriefs and working hard to get themselves prepared for the next one. So that means, folks, that we'll be back again ready tomorrow night. Myself and Josh Anderson will talk you through the action in the Super League in exactly the same time of the night. 7:30 p.m. we go live once again for full qualifying and the full race from Super League, and the championship battle will continue. I'm Jake Sanson. Thank you very much indeed, and we'll see you again next time.